person representing the business world, you might say GST conceptually, I'm not talking of how it's implemented, is a good idea. One nation, one tax, it's ease of movement, ease of logistics, and so on. Second, if you wear your hat as a minister of a state government, then you suddenly say my ability to tax, decentralization is affected. How do you, square up these two contradictions? That's one question. Then let me ask one more so that you can sort of take both together. Dr. Reddy constantly, YV Reddy constantly used to say that the enthusiasm of the states to claim decentralization, that they need much more, from the Finance Commission, etc., is only matched by the reluctance to decentralize further with the panchayats and the municipal corporations and so on. So how do you look at that? So these are the two questions.
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first, right? I think it was the famous economist, I forget his name, who started the NFPIP. What is it called? The one in Delhi, where the PRS seminars are held, who said everybody wants decentralization, but only to his level, right?
Dr. Govind Rao.
No, I think it was somebody else. But anyway, the quote is still relevant. It says everybody wants decentralization only to their level, right? So at some sense that is true, but at least I personally and my party have always been for greater devolution. The Justice Party's concept was local self-governance. The power given to district boards and towns and municipalities and corporations was enormous in the Madras presidency under Dayaki in 1921. We have followed those principles. I have been on record saying that one of the reasons that Kerala does a lot better than us on certain administrative measures is that Kerala is a truly devolved state. Now we have state finance commissions, and by coincidence, after we came to power, the term of the 6th State Finance Commission is still, they couldn't do their work in time, so we extended it by 6 months or 9 months. And my request to the chairman of the State Finance Commission was exactly what, on behalf of the DMK, the representation I made to the Union Finance Commission, please consider those as my inputs to the State Finance Commission for greater devolution between the states and local bodies, between the state and local bodies. So we try to keep consistent in our principles. Of course, the outcome will tell us. And we are more devolved than most states. We are not as good as Kerala, but we're much better than most other states. Should some indirect taxation be common across the country? Absolutely. Should all indirect taxation be common across the country? Absolutely not. We are not there right now. We have GST that covers some range of products, and then core products, critical products like the energy products, alcohol, etc., electricity are out of it. So if I had to make an ideal recommendation for a model of taxation, I would start fundamentally in a different place. The true lever for taxation for any socialist country, for any progressive and development-oriented welfare state is direct taxes. Because direct taxes can be progressive. So the problem starts with the fact that only the union controls direct taxes, and they have been slashing direct taxes as a percentage of GDP or in flat rates by so much that we have become fundamentally an unfair country, much more so than in 2014. 2014 was something like 56, 57% direct tax and 43, 42 something percent indirect tax. Now it's reversed, right? So the OECD benchmark is 60% direct taxes because they're progressive. You know who you're taking it from, so you can raise the rates and the slabs and so forth. And 40% indirect because by definition, indirect taxes, point of sale taxes, you don't know who you're taking it from, and you know it must be regressive. The poor man and the common man must be spending more of their income on taxable goods and services than the capitalist and the rich man who have so much money they do investing and saving and stuff like that. So the problem starts with the fact that you don't have direct taxation at the states. So the long-term solution must include all three things. One, direct taxation must be devolved to the states, at least in part. That happens everywhere. It is true in communist China. It is true in capitalist America. It is true down to cities in China and in America that they can levy direct taxes at a city level, at a district level, at a state level, at the union level. In India, only the union can levy direct taxes, which are really the only fair taxes. So we start from that. Then we say of indirect taxes, which are inherently, regressive and unfair, then surely you reduce the scope of these taxes that are homogenized across the country to truly things that are sold across the country. Milk doesn't have to be. Most people don't sell milk ship milk from Madurai to Delhi. Milk in Madurai is sold in Madurai, and so forth. So I think, of course, milk should be exempt. That's a different story. But I'm trying to say there are many products that are local market products. There are a few products, let's say motorcycles and cars, that are sold all over the country. I have no problem with that logic. So the combination of devolution of direct taxation to the states and a fundamental rethink of what should be in GST and what should not be in GST, I think is a long-term workable plan where we can have fairness, some level of independence and decision making and fine tuning and policy making at the state level, and yet homogeneity, which does ease of business and kind of standardization across the country for those products that matter.
You mentioned milk, and I had a chuckle on my face. When I was the claim to fame of Dr. Kurian, in the Operation Flood 1, which was supplying milk to metros. The claim to fame was that there was an insulated tanker that would go from Anand all the way to Calcutta to supply milk. And those days it was not Kolkata, it was Calcutta. But the success of the Operation Flood program is that we no longer do that. And that was the success of the program. But that was a interesting side light. I just thought I'll bring, given that today we are thinking of Dr. Kurian and we are thinking of cooperatives as a part of the memory. It has been really wonderful to have you with us. And I wish that we will be able to have more informed discussion with people in policy making position and politics. Where the things that actually, if you go back and look at the type of research that we do and the type of papers that we write are exactly the type of conversations that we would like to have. And we are we don't have too many avenues in which we could have this sort of a conversation. I think if it's possible for us to build more bridges, not only with the state government, but also with the union government, it would be wonderful. There are bridges through committees, there are bridges through expert groups, etc., that are built. But as you say, most of the time we are operating under limited data, and even when there is data, very limited transparency. And I hope, given that you sort of represent both the worlds, I hope that at least as long as you're there, there'll be greater transparency and greater data available, not only for you, but for us to sort of critique you, which in turn will possibly help you to make better policies.
Thanks. Of course. Now, let me just say a couple of things. I don't want to end on a kind of note as if everything is bad and everything is difficult. So, we have people elected us for a reason. We came to office because we had a vision. We stood in elections because we thought we had the capability of bringing change and making improvements in people's lives. So, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's all doom and gloom. In fact, constructively, I'll make 2 points that we have announced during the last week or 10 days in the budget. One is that it is our intent to work with as many expert advisors as possible in every field. So the Council of Economic Advisors was the beginning, not the end. There's already been one announced for the small MSME sector. I have announced that I'm going to set one up for managing litigation risk, including retired High Court judges and so forth. I've announced I'm going to set up one for fiscal federal relations using very prominent litigators and policymakers in other ways, academics and so forth. So one of the hallmarks of our governance will be that because we have ambition for transparency and no fear about anybody going and leaking anything, that we are going to significantly increase the government's engagement with specialists, with erudite people, with knowledgeable people, with people of deep experience. And most of these, as you know, people at that level are happy to serve for free, like our Economic Advisory Council, not even it's all pro bono. So it's a win-win. They get the satisfaction of working for the betterment of society. We get the benefit of their input, and it works out well. I've also announced that we are going to have a pilot internship program where we're going to bring in graduate students like we did at investment banks and consulting companies. I used to be a consultant before I was a banker. And we're going to bring in people from law schools, from graduate schools to help at the beginning with the finance department, with different aspects of planning, finance, human resources management, and legal. And as we learn, we'll expand that. So those will be paid because young people need to be paid, and we think that they will come with fresh ideas, and their engagement will help us a lot. And then on the other end, we'll take the very senior people who already have made their mark and their money and don't really need to be paid. So we're opening up at least on those two fronts. And certainly, as we come up with better avenues or greater avenues, or more width of any given avenue, we are open to that, and we'll definitely do that. So with that, let me thank you for the opportunity. I'm not sure because only you and I can see each other, so I can't tell how well attended or how well received this was, but I hope it was of some use to the participants of your conference. And I wish the conference much success. The debate of ideas, the exchange of ideas is crucial to the progress of any society. So I'm happy to participate in your conference, and I wish you continued success for the rest of the conference. Thank you.